Hello, I'm David Shaw, Chair Emeritus of the Jackson Laboratory. 2019 is the 90th anniversary of the founding of the laboratory, and it's my 30th year serving as a member of the Jackson Board of Trustees. I want to take this opportunity to reflect on the extraordinarily important role that JAX has played in one of the greatest scientific revolutions of all time. It's been a period of stunning breakthroughs in genetics with dramatic implications for healthcare and quality of life. I joined the Jackson board in 1989 when it had a staff of just 150 people and an annual budget of a little over $10 million. I'll always remember my first visit to JAX. I had a difficult time reconciling my first impression of a very modest institution with the potentially vast importance of its work. As a Maine-based entrepreneur in biology and life sciences, I was surprised to find that a center of science of this quality and importance existed in Bar Harbor, Maine. Even locally within the state, the lab appeared to be largely unknown and its work was poorly understood. I'm grateful that Robert Kinney, a close friend and Jackson trustee, convinced me to join him for a visit to Jackson after dinner at his home in nearby Hulls Cove. Bob, who had served as CEO of General Mills, explained to me that his career started with the creation of a small seafood business in Bar Harbor in the same time frame that Jackson was created by Dr. Clarence C. Little. From the inception of Jackson in 1929, Bob served as an advisor to Dr. Little, who had brought the concept of a mammalian genetics research institute to a remote location in Maine, following his earlier research at Columbia University in New York City. C.C. Little was associated with a group at Columbia a century ago who had started exploring genetics via Drosophila, commonly known as fruit flies. Working with pioneering genetics researchers such as Thomas Hunt Morgan and William Castle, C.C. Little introduced the concept of mouse models for understanding mammalian genetics. This launched a century of stunning scientific discoveries. Despite the great importance of genetic science, the Jackson Laboratory had grown to just 150 people when I first visited in 1989, 60 years after its creation. This modest and linear growth stood in contrast to the transformational nature of the science and the prospect of exponential change ahead, with potentially vast benefits to society. As I explored the opportunity further, a trip that started largely as a favor to a friend became an exciting and passionate journey for me. Not long after becoming a trustee, I had the great fortune of serving on a search committee for a new director. After a rigorous process, we were very fortunate to recruit Dr. Kenneth Pagan from the University of California. This launched a golden age of growth and expansion for JAX in its three key focus areas: scientific research, education, and resources to the life sciences world. Under Ken Pagan's leadership, with the unexpected impetus of a very damaging fire in 1990, fundraising grew dramatically, staff and operations expanded dramatically, the board was restructured, and JAX took its place as a critically important player in the global genetics revolution.
Our future health, the future health of the planet, the future health of our bodies, of our children, of our society, is really based on the basic science that starts at institutions like the Jackson Laboratory.
Jackson Lab has been crucial in the development of modern cancer research from several points of view. It's trained a lot of the great people who've done that research. It has provided mouse models that all of us use. That's informed many of the approaches to our modern understanding of the genetics of cancer.
Nearly 25 years ago, in the early days of this transformation, I helped to tell the story of JAX and genetics through this short video.
She has her mother's eyes and father's smile. We are the manifestation of nearly 100,000 genes that govern who we are. They provide the blueprint of the human body and are the mechanisms that pass traits from one generation to the next. Unfortunately, the same genetic code that can give us health, beauty, and remarkable talents can carry instructions making us susceptible to heart attacks, diabetes, cancer, and virtually all major diseases. Researchers are now able to crack the genetic code. This opens the door for new ways to diagnose, treat, and prevent diseases. At the forefront of the genetic revolution is the Jackson Laboratory, a nonprofit research institution established in 1929 in Bar Harbor, Maine, known the world over for its breakthroughs in genetics.
Modern genetics is really entirely a 20th century invention. It started at the turn of the century. It was only literally a handful of genes. By this time, we know the location of thousands of genes.
Within the decade, we will know the location of virtually every gene in man and in mouse. Why the mouse? Well, we're a lot more like mice than you think.
Mice have virtually the same set of genes that we do. They're arranged on mouse chromosomes, very much like human genes are arranged on human chromosomes. They get the diseases we do for very much the same reasons. And so what a mouse provides us is a kind of mirror of ourselves.
More than just a research institution, the Jackson Laboratory is the leader in developing mouse models and providing these to the world's scientific community. Tools that serve as a Rosetta Stone in the advancement of genetic research. Mice are the only experimental system in which scientists can use the full range of advanced genetic techniques. Another important research tool being developed at the laboratory is this one. The genetic databases, software, and research tools are shared with scientists everywhere via the internet. The laboratory has twice been named a finalist in the Smithsonian Award for Innovation in Computer Technology.
It's fortunate that this explosion in genetics research and the capacity to use computers in the way we can now have come more or less at the same time. Since science is built one step at a time, each scientist builds on what has come before. If you don't make your discoveries available to the rest of the world, they can't build on them. We want to fulfill our mission, which is literally to do good in the world.
What does this genetic revolution mean to our health? The research at the Jackson Laboratory enables scientists to make the advances necessary to treat and prevent major diseases, and oftentimes needless suffering. Many of the world's foremost scientists began here, and 3 have gone on to win the Nobel Prize. The first was Dr. George Snell, who was honored for work that paved the way for organ transplants.
His work revealed to us what is the key set of molecules in the immune system. It's the basis for all of the tissue grafts and transplants that we see nowadays.
The other 2 recipients of the Nobel Prize who trained at the laboratory are David Baltimore and Howard Temin.
They worked here, one as a high school student and one as a college student. They went on to share the Nobel Prize for the discovery of retroviruses and their role in the origins of cancer.
It's very common for us to be able to walk right across the hall and talk to one of the world's experts in diabetes or histocompatibility antigens. The access to this expertise is just phenomenal here at the lab.
Many come to us because this is one of the most exciting, maybe the most exciting intellectual, scientific, cultural revolution that's ever happened in history. And it's an enormous thrill to be part of it.
I can remember when the obesity gene story broke in 1994. That was in December. That was a very exciting thing because that work had been done at the Jackson Lab for well nigh 30 years.
You get a tremendous personal satisfaction when you help to dissect some small part of one of these genetic diseases.
My purpose in making this video is to pay tribute to all of the people who have contributed to nearly a century of extraordinary accomplishments at the Jackson Labs. And I want to express my gratitude for being part of such a game-changing journey over the past 30 years. Here's the perspective of an illustrious alumni of our summer programs.
JAX has been a key part of the biomedical revolution happening around us. By focusing on genetics in the mouse, they have linked the code in DNA to the properties of living animals. Also, by having an education program for high school students, they have provided an opportunity for young people to experience the excitement and fulfillment of biomedical research. That program started me off in research as a high school student, and I never looked back, receiving a Nobel Prize 20 years after my summer at Jackson for the work I did on viruses.
In 2008, we honored David Baltimore and current JAX trustee Tony Evden at a gala in New York City. Locally, I helped organize an event in 2014 that recognized the enormous contributions of JAX to Maine's creative economy. Ed Liu, CEO of JAX, and a creative powerhouse, accepted the Maine Creativity Award on behalf of the Jackson Laboratory. JAX makes extraordinary contributions to the world in many ways, including its research programs, its education programs, and its facilitation of life science research around the world through mouse models and related resources. It's very gratifying that these programs have expanded dramatically in magnitude and scope in my years on the board. Expansion in these years was supported by the creation of a Chief Operating Officer position at Jackson and the recruitment in 2004 of a very talented Maine-based friend, Chuck Hewitt, for that new role. Over a 15-year period, Chuck was a significant contributor to the growth and success of JAX. Upon retirement in 2018, he remarked that his tenure in shaping the future of healthcare via great science at JAX was a dream come true. And I know that I speak for others in saying that we wholeheartedly share that sense of gratitude. It has become increasingly common for nonprofit research institutions to create value by spawning entrepreneurial ventures that convert exciting science into products and services that benefit the world. I'd like to close this video by celebrating one such venture that I helped to create. In 2012, I assisted JAX scientist Kevin Mills in the creation of Cyteir Therapeutics to harness novel biology called genetic chemotherapy to treat cancer and autoimmune disorders. Cyteir has progressed remarkably since then and has now filed its first investigational new drug application with the FDA. So here's a toast with a double helix glass to the amazing Jackson Laboratory community for all you've done to benefit the world. And the best is yet to come.
You know, one of the things I want to put on tape is how much I have to thank Dave Shaw for being the transformative trustee to the Jackson Labs. It is remarkable what you had initiated, the trajectory of telling us and teaching us how big we could be and how powerful we could be. And for that, I'm living your legacy. So thank you very much. All right, buddy?